Good morning, I'm Neva Manu, and this is your morning news fix for Thursday, 11th of July. In this update, the Prime Minister's gearing up for a number of high-level meetings with world leaders in Washington, D.C. today. Political editor Jason Walls is there.
Chris Luxon's carved out time to sit down with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau later today before a bilateral with French President Emmanuel Macron. He's also meeting with prominent Republican Ted Cruz to cap off his senatorial charm offensive in the U.S. Capitol. But Luxon's realistic about the prospect of securing some Oval Office FaceTime with Joe Biden, but he's hoping to meet him at the leaders' dinner tonight, hosted by the president at the White House.
A further investigation's due to take place on the Inter-Islander fleet. Now the Aratete is allowed to cross Cook Strait again. The ship, which ran aground in Picton about 3 weeks ago, had its detention notice lifted yesterday afternoon. It went through systems and equipment tests earlier this week. Maritime New Zealand says preliminary inquiries found the incident did not happen due to a crew member leaving the bridge to make a coffee, as claimed earlier this week by New Zealand First. Maritime New Zealand will audit the entire fleet in the coming weeks, looking at procedures, training, risk management and equipment. Aratete will gradually return to service. Optimism at the government's climate strategy. Its plan details a 5-point strategy for dealing with climate change and its impacts as a framework. It focuses on infrastructure and community preparedness, clean energy, tech and nature-based solutions. Some climate advocacy groups are calling it a kick in the guts, meaningless and contradictory. Canterbury University political science professor Bronwyn Hayward says the pillars offer a good framework, but it's all about their delivery.
Here we've got national pitching. How can we develop a greener economy in a way that builds the economy and supports businesses?
Pharmac open consultation on 7 drugs which they expect to benefit 6,000 patients. They include treatments for schizophrenia, iron deficiency, opioid-induced constipation and psoriasis. Pharmac Senior Therapeutic Group Manager Alexandra Compton says if the drugs are approved, they will be available from November. Synlait Milk faces a critical vote today on whether to accept a lifeline offer from a major Chinese shareholder. Its shareholders decide this afternoon whether to accept the $130 million loan just 4 days before its debt deadline. If it fails, our third largest dairy processor will likely collapse. Federated Farmers Dairy Chair Richard McIntyre says it's an anxious time for suppliers.
They just want to get on and farm, basically, knowing that their milk's going to be picked up every day and that they'll get paid for it. You know, we've got cows to feed and bills to pay.
In sport, Jonas Vingegaard has won the 211-kilometre mountainous Stage 11 on cycling's Tour de France, beating yellow jersey holder Tadej Pogačar in a photo finish. Elena Rybakina is through to a semi-final against Barbara Krejcikova in Wimbledon. Alex de Minaur has been unable to contest for a place in the last 4 against Novak Djokovic due to a hip injury. Finally, England a 189-3, a lead of 68 over the West Indies at Stumps on the opening day of the first cricket test at Lord's. I'm Neva Manu. That's your latest news fix. We'll be back with the next update at midday from the Newstalk ZB newsroom.